days are getting shorter and nights are cold. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Sometimes this life is a double-edged sword, and it hurts me to think what you've been through. It's a long way down, and when you get there, you gotta turn around. It's a long way down. Well, now come on, baby, I won't let you drown. Last year, this time, I was hoping that you were alright. Sun's coming up through the melting shadows. Looks like we made it through a darkest night. It's a long when you get there, you gotta turn around. It's a long way down. Well, now come on, baby, I won't let you drown. When I stumble and start to slip, you were always there to catch my grip. Now it's my turn. Better and worse, so look to me. I was scared when the night closed in. I was there alone with all my sin. I just wanted to see you again. So now come to me, alright. Last night I was up on town line looking at the diamonds below. Well, there's less and there's less of them every year. This town is getting poorer as each one goes. It's a long way down, and when you get there, you gotta turn around. It's a long well, now come on, baby, I won't let you drown. Welcome to the Inside Track. I'm your host, Wayne Carlton. On this episode, we're going to take a look at the music and songwriting of Phil Henry. I grew up in Saranac Lake, New York, this beautiful Adirondack town, small town, so I thought. I thought it was the smallest, most rural place far away from anywhere, but it really turned out to be a great upbringing. Saranac Lake is this very artsy community, support for somebody who, like me, who loved visual arts, loved painting and drawing, but also loved music, and I could do all that. I had a chorus teacher named Helen DeMung who was so wonderful, and a band teacher named Fred Baker. But Helen and I are good friends to this day. But she always had this attitude that you could do what you love and be successful and take it out into the world and take it anywhere that you would be brave enough to follow it. I sang in a children's choir that Dave Brubeck came and premiered an original work along with a children's choir and a local choir. And some of his own musicians, and premiered an original work. So I got to meet Dave Brubeck when I was a fourth grader, and actually was in a recording session with Dave Brubeck. Beyond just that kind of childhood experience, when I had buddies who were playing in bands, when they got to high school, I had to do that. I had to be a part of it. I didn't really think I could sing. I didn't really think I could play guitar, and I couldn't. But at that point, my buddies are playing. I got to play. The two things that stand out were the records that my parents had. I mean, the Beatles records, certainly, and especially Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And the other thing that I listened to, and I couldn't get enough of it, were Simon and Garfunkel records. Loved Simon and Garfunkel. Loved the harmony. And years later, I really got into the writing to figure out that what went into making these short little masterpieces. My parents had an old minivan, or an old Ford Aerostar, and the only tape that was ever in the machine was Simon and Garfunkel's Greatest Hits. So as a teenager, I'm cruising around in the minivan as the only car that I had access to drive, blasting Simon and Garfunkel. So you can imagine I was not the coolest kid in school. See, I graduated from SUNY Potsdam in 1997. And I was studying music there. Yes, it's the Crane School of Music at Potsdam, where I learned music education and focused in singing. And specifically at a school like Potsdam, it's classical music. So it's singing opera and classical music. Although on the side, I moonlighted it with the school's a cappella group, which is really where I lived, what really excited me, because I got to arrange music for all those voices and work with harmonies, and again, coming back to that Simon and Garfunkel, that's the world that I wanted to be in. I think there was a great number of song-oriented music through the 90s. I went to the Lilith Fair. You know, I know I'm a dude, but the Lilith Fair and the writers that were at that, Sean Colvin and Jonathan Brooke and the Indigo Girls, Sarah McLachlan, all of these were really great writers of songs. So yes, it was pop music, but these are great songs, and I really connected with that. I wrote my first song in high school. It was predictably kind of a breakup song, but it was for me at the time. I was a star at the summer camp where I worked. You know, that was one that people loved and wanted to hear again and again. The first real performance I ever played was at Potsdam at my college. It was a coffee house performance, acoustic, in the school's pizza parlor. So first time plugged in, and of course I forgot the battery from my tuner, and you know, things went wrong. But it was really the first time I got to play and try to win over a crowd playing my songs. And they were, of course, no one was there to hear me. They were there to eat their pizza. So that was a real taste of what, you know, playing in bars might be later on, and trying to get the attention of people with my own song. I don't know whether or not there are more distractions today. I do know that I try very hard before I walk in the door to get myself into situations where people are more likely to listen. I play a handful of bar gigs, but I've really chosen the ones that I know that people have a tendency to listen better, because I do believe that there are environments where people are better at listening. Songs without an audience, it doesn't mean anything. I can do that in my living room just as well as anywhere. So a performance has to be a conversation between a performer and an audience. And sometimes it's very much talking with the audience and having them respond. Sometimes it's just as simple as communicating the rhythm back and forth between an audience. So I know a show is successful not if I've played everything to its perfection. I'll never play anything to its perfection. That's just not me. But I know that if the audience has enjoyed themselves, have felt something in conjunction with what I'm giving, then we've had a successful night. Sit me down in that old leather seat, put my feet up, spin me around and smile and call me by my name. Old Joe, he's a sight, in his horn rims and white hair. And just like this barbershop, they don't make them quite the same. So
the top, take a little off the sides, brush the burden from my shoulders, take the load off of my mind. I'll always find my way back there. He shakes his shoes from the big blue jar, asks, how are you? I tell him, Joe, I don't know where I dare begin. If I say it's been a damn hard year, would that be too honest? But Joe keeps on clipping, I know my secret's safe with him. So take a little off the top, take a little off the sides, brush the burden from my shoulders, take the load off of my mind. I'll always find my way back there to old Joe's chair, to old Joe's chair. Old Spice and hardwood floors and bad jokes from before the war, and Polaroids on the walls of days gone by. Now men don't gripe, men don't do sad, but sitting here I feel like I'm talking with my dad. First moment's peace I've had in a long, long while. He turns me around with a wink as he hands me a mirror. I tell him, Joe, I swear I look like a new man. He says, son, you can never get too many haircuts. Don't be a stranger, and he offers me his hand. So take a little off the top, take a little off the sides, push the burden from my shoulders, take the load off of my mind. I'll always find my way back there to old Joe's chair, old Joe's chair, to old Joe's chair. Old Joe's Chair I wrote with my friend Aaron Nathans, who lives in Pennsylvania. Aaron had this idea. He had heard an interview with President Obama, and Obama was saying that that nobody gets between him and his barber. He was, and he still does, to my knowledge, on his own expense, I want to say, not taxpayer, flies his barber in from Chicago to the White House to cut his hair. You know that Obama's haircut is not all that complicated. So you have to look at this and say there's something else that he's getting from this relationship and this give and take with this older gentleman, father figure perhaps. So we really had that concept that there's something that's special between a man and his barber. And I've always been really interested in exploring male relationships because we're so often told not to communicate, not to be emotional, not to and to seem strong, especially amongst our peers, men. So we really like this idea of showing that this vulnerable relationship that a guy can have with this older male figure. I'm really blessed in that that I have a really great, loving father. Luckily, he's still in great health, and he's a grocery store manager in Saranac Lake, New York, and we've had a great relationship, and he's always been so supportive and of me that I think that Sure, I think I can see something of old Joe in my own dad, and the support that he has, and he's always positive and always a big support and love. It's a very similar experience going home to sitting in old Joe's chair. Increasingly, more and more of my own experiences end up in the songs. For a very long time, in fact, I think my whole previous record before this one, were songs that were stories from various points of view. I tried to get in as many different people's heads as I could, and try to tell songs as though they were movie scripts, and finding the most dramatic situations and putting my characters in. Now, even then, I feel like myself got worked into those characters and the way that I felt about certain issues. My attitudes on writing come less from the outside environment than it comes from feelings. And then I would say the only environmental things are the things that you smell and taste and touch. It's always this slow uphill climb, but I've been really lucky in the last several years to have had some great opportunities. I showcased at one of my all-time favorite places in the whole world, which is the Falcon Ridge Folk Festival, which is in Hillsdale, New York, and thousands of people come every summer. And I've been going there for as long as I've been making this kind of music, and so I got to showcase on that big stage for all these wonderful people. I traveled twice now to Kerrville, Texas, to play a contest there, which again, it's a contest. 2 songs flew down Memorial Day weekend to go do this contest and play in these song circles, and then flew back so I could teach on Tuesday morning. But that was pretty exciting. Another thing, just recently, I got to open for one of my heroes at the Paramount, this gentleman named Richard Schindel, who lives in Argentina. So he doesn't make it to the States all that often. So I was extremely fortunate to meet this hero of mine, or just a fine songwriter, and play on that stage. So other than that, I revel in some of the smaller stages. I love coffee houses and I love listening rooms, and sometimes it means I have to wait a longer time between these gigs to get them, or I have to drive a lot further to get to those gigs. We all, as musicians and as artists, go through, and maybe just simply as human beings, have moments where things are really working and you're confident, and then you find yourself in the dark driving home, and you might wonder if what you're doing is really worth it. For musicians, it really is that drive home. I live in a place that I don't necessarily, I don't gig very much in Rutland. So I can either set up an elaborate tour, or I can get on the road and drive home afterward, within 3 hours of Rutland, and you can start to doubt whether or not you're doing the right thing at 2 in the morning, and the radio has stopped playing hits, and all you can find is the BBC World Report, and all these British gentlemen are speaking monotone and quietly, and you can't stay awake. So it works as a metaphor for that doubt and that question. At what point do you say I don't care whether or not I have a traditional life? Is that standing in front of an audience and having that experience with an audience worth it? And for me, almost every time, it's yes. And we go back to that idea of having that conversation and having that experience. If I'm having that experience, then, and the audience is having that experience, it's probably worth it. House concerts are a place that, especially folk musicians, but all kinds of musicians, songwriters especially, have found this great haven, because it's a room full of people who have walked in the room to have an experience with their friends. They may not ever know who you were, but they, at the recommendation of the host, the person whose house has invited you, they say, no, you have to come see this guy. Come, we'll have dinner, we'll have coffee, and we're going to see this musician, and you get to have this experience up close and personal. No microphone, no, just here it is, and you get, yet again, you were talking about telling stories before. I mean, you tell the story and you connect with these people, and it's a great alternative to playing in a bar, and you get that experience that we're craving. We all have that fantasy of being the rock star and doing this full time, but at the same time, we know that there's the flip side. There's that bit of reality that you have to have money. You have to have be able to pay your mortgage and in some cases provide for a family. So I know my family, while being very supportive of me, are working class people, and they wanted me to, yes, do good in the world, but also have stability. And there's a definite flip side when you're thinking about being a musician, and there are times when you're going to doubt, and am I just playing a musician, or is this what I have to do?
Big rigs on 91, they flash their high beams, they pass me by on the right as I fight to keep my eyes on the road. And the radio reporters on the BBC, they're sweetly singing their lullabies. I'm tired, but I'm still 2 more hours from home. Now I'm low on coffee and I am low on gas, but I'll pass the rest out, 'cause there is no rest for a restless dreamer like me. Asleep at the wheel and now I'm drifting, thicker than the damage done. Where will I be when this is over? Ruin wreck on 91. You know I would drive all night. I'll take this ride 1 mile at a time. I'm living the dream, but I'm asleep at the wheel. The gig was good tonight, but when they raise the lights, it always ends up the same. It's late, and I'm packing the car up to drive. And it's highway to highway, and it's steep to steep. I've been heeding signs, but I'm tired of waiting. Yes, I'm tired of staying inside of the lines. And now I'm low on patience, and I am low on faith. Am I wasting my life on this childhood chase, making time and making believe? I sleep at the wheel, and now I'm drifting, thicker than I'm damage done. Where will I be when this is over? Ruined wreck on 91. You know I would drive all night. I'd take this ride 1 mile at a time. I'm living the dream, but I'm asleep at the wheel. Asleep at the wheel. Asleep at the wheel. White one, black one, 1, 2, 3. I'm counting cars and I'm counting sheep. White counting cars, counting asleep at the wheel, and now I'm drifting. Think of an damnation. Where will I be when this is over? Ruined wreck at 61. You know I would drive all night. I'll take this life 1 mile at a time. I'm living the dream. White one, black one, 1, 2, 3. Counting cars, counting sheep. White one, black one, 1, 2, 3. Counting cars, counting sheep.
I am lucky in that I have a quote-unquote day job that I love with all my heart. I teach music at West Rutland School, a little K through 12 school, and I get to make music with students as young as 3rd grade up through high school, rock musicians and jazz musicians and singers. So I get to have this two-sided kind of Superman kind of life. So I think I get to live that that balance that so many working musicians. I'm very serious about my art, but I'm very careful not to pretend that I am like so many of my friends who are out touring and they're working every gig in order to make their rent and to pay for their gas to get to the gigs that they're talking about. I'm lucky that I have a profession that's wonderful, where I can have weekends that are free, that I can be out, and summers so I get very little of that reality that many musicians have to deal with. At my core, I am a hopeful and positive person. It sounds cheesy to say, but all the moments that I have doubt, there's always seems to be something yet to come that's going to spark my interest and my enthusiasm once again. So if there is a little bit of open-endedness in the way that song finishes, I think that that's what it's about. So, yes, I'll drive all night, and I'll do it again tomorrow, and I'll do it the next night. I may have some of those doubts on my drive home, but the next day I'll get up and there'll be another gig coming. I'm going through some channels and some things that career-wise that I have never done before, like having somebody promote my record nationally to folk radio, which is for a niche, and to get this CD in all these people's hands, and that's a really new thing, and I'm trying to be very serious and focused on getting that music out. I've always been accused of being that starry-eyed dreamer. I was the kid who was always looking out the window in school and kind of in my own little world. So as a creative person, there's nothing greater than being a dreamer and looking forward, and so I'm not going to stop, and I'm not going to rest. I'm going to keep going.
Thank you for watching The Inside Track. We'd like to thank our guest, Phil Henry. Until next time, remember, please support live local music.